Welcome back, Landover robber barons. Let's talk about the initial placement of where you put your one village and your one city. This might actually affect more than anything else who is going to win the game. And there's a lot to think about, but we're going to talk about maybe the basics right here. First and foremost, you want to put your village and your city on the numbers that are more likely to come up. There are no 7s on the board, of course, so that makes 6s and 8s the most valuable, followed by 5s and 9s. And you're probably pretty good at probability and know not to go for the 2s and the 12s. You also want to think a little bit about spreading out your numbers. After all, if 6 keeps coming up and all your chips are on 8, well, you've all been to the roulette wheel. We all know how that goes. So that's one consideration, and spreading out resources is important. Now, this is where you want to think a little bit about what you are trying to build. For example, on this map, there's some water, and bridges take a certain kind of resources, but if you're going to build mostly roads, that takes a certain kind of resource. Also, this particular game, just to let you know, the victory points are quite high, which means you're going to have to build a lot of cities, and what that means is you might need a lot of wheat and a lot of ore. So a lot of things to think about, but when you're first starting out, again, go for the most common numbers, and you probably also want to pick vertices that are touching 3 things. Now, there are some ports. We're not really going to get into that because we're getting a little bit advanced here, but let's just look around the board. This is a real game that I just started, and I'm looking for the possibility of a vertex that touches 3 things and has 3 resources I want. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the gold was taken. For example, over here, yeah, this guy did well over here. This computer bot got an 8, which is a great number, a 9, which is pretty good, and it's also gold, which is, the best commodity or resource rather to have. And you've also got a 5, which is not bad. Going to be a lot of brick in that guy's future. Let's scroll back out though, and I don't have an exact feel for the exact number that I want, but I'm going to give you a couple of thoughts. So this vertices right here between the 5, the 6, and the 9. Those are all pretty good numbers. Those also represent 3 different resources. So I'm kind of liking that even more than the 5, 6, 9 where I get double ore. I like to spread the wealth. It's nice to have a diversified portfolio, isn't it? So let's go ahead and click that one. We're going to build our village right there. Okay. Now, because I'm going last in this game, it's actually what we call a snake draft for any of you fantasy footballers out there. The top player gets pick number 1 and pick number 8. So when it comes down to me, when I'm the 4th pick, then I get the first pick in sort of the second round of drafting. Now I'm going to go ahead and build a road. Not really going to talk about roads too much, but let's pick that one. Now I'm going to zoom out. I actually get to go again because I'm first to pick in this sort of second round. Now, the gameplay will go in order after this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but just for the purposes of the initial placement, I get to go again. And man, I love some gold. But if we look at the bottom of the screen, that's 6. That's all by itself on an island. I'm gonna need a 6 to come up. It doesn't touch any of the other hexagons. Look over on the left side of the screen, there actually is a chance to build my city that touches the 9 gold, the 5, and the 2. So that's pretty interesting. And what else do we see on the board? I'm actually kind of loving that gold at the top. I don't know if this is the optimal placement, but you could actually decide to pick this vertices touching the 5 and the 6 and then build a road really quickly to try to get to the 9. But actually, I'm going to take back everything that I said, and I am going to teach you a slightly higher level strategy. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to suck up all of the wheat of the board. That's right, I'm moving to Iowa or wherever they grow wheat. I didn't do that much research for this. I'm going to click here, building my city, and then I'm going to very quickly build a road that gets me to the port. And that way, as I start churning out all of this wheat, I'll be able to trade it 2 to 1 because I'll control the port, and I'm going to get a lot of my resources by using my wheat port. Let's go ahead and click there. There is my city. I'm going to build a road that gets close to the port. I'm going to need at least 1 more road because, as you know, you can't build villages or cities 1 road apart from each other. So there we go. There's a little bit of a couple of ideas I think about when it comes to the initial placement. Also, you can kind of see that the 2 pink buildings are relatively close to each other, I could try to go for longest road by connecting them. That's not usually one of my more major considerations, but it is something I do think about. So go for those common numbers, spread out your resources, think about what you're trying to do in the early stages of the game, what you're trying to build, and you'll be off to a great start building your world domination map.